President of the Weslaco ISD Board of Trustees. This regular board meeting is being conducted pursuant to Governor Greg Abbott's suspension of certain open meeting law requirements to the extent necessary to follow for or to allow for telephonic and video conference meetings in response to COVID-19. Notice of this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. The board is meeting by the use of Google Meets and telephone transmission, which allows two-way communication for members of the public during public comments. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. The time now is 6:01, and I call this meeting to order. I'll now begin. Roll call. Signify your presence by saying here or present when I call your name. Jackie Susaita. Andrew Gonzalez. Dr. Jaime Rodriguez.
Present.
Coach Trevino.
Present.
Mr. Isidro Nieto.
Present.
Mark de los Santos.
Present.
And myself, Armando Cuellar. Let the record reflect that we have a quorum of board members in attendance. Item 3, opening prayer. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, our invocation will be delivered this evening by Melly Olivares. She is a counselor from Early Learning Foundations Academy. Mrs. Olivares, I believe you're on. Good for you. Welcome and thank you,
Yes, I'm
ma'am.
here. Thank you. Okay, let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we gather today with a humble heart. We thank you for our day, for our families, jobs, and our health. We ask you for your guidance so that we may walk fully in your blessing and goodness during this time and always. Give us a heart of wisdom to hear your voice and make the best decisions according to your will. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Melly. Item 4, Pledge of Allegiance, Texas Pledge. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, this evening, Raven Thodas, a pre-K student at the Early Learning Foundations Academy, will be leading us in the pledges. She is a daughter of Bianca Almaguer. Raven currently attends classes virtually, but next year she will be attending Kleckler Held Elementary as a kindergartner. After she completes her schoolwork, Raven likes to draw, play with her dolls, and play dress up. When she grows up, she wants to be a pilot. So Raven, are you with us? Hi, how are you?
Hi.
For the pledges, you ready, Raven?
Ready?
Yes.
You're gonna say the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever you're ready. You ready?
Mhm.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, and unity and justice for all.
Thank you. Now do the honor the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas state under God, one and indivisible.
Well, that was a
Thank
great
you, Raven.
job, Raven.
You're welcome, Mom.
Thank you so much.
Okay, that was good. Thank you, Raven. Now we go to item 5, awards and recognitions. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, we have several awards and recognitions involving students and staff this month. Mr. Robledo will be leading us through the recognitions. Mr. Robledo.
Yes, ma'am. Hello, everybody, board president and superintendent. And we can just get the superintendent's report to come up so we can take a look at some graphics and some photos as we do this presentation.
Take care of that, Mr. Robledo.
Okay. All right, so here we go. Tonight, we would like to start off to recognize our district's top speller. This student won first place at the district spelling bee and advanced to regionals. We congratulate Angel Guerra for winning second place at the regional spelling bee just held recently. The B was held virtually this year, and we congratulate once again Angel Guerra. Angel's coach is Velma Zapata. So congratulations once again, Angel Guerra from Central Middle School. First place here at the B at WISD, second place at the Regional B. Congratulations. Up next, we would like to congratulate the Weslaco High School boys basketball team, and what an outstanding season that they had. The Panthers recently won the District 32 6A championship title. Team members are Nicholas Avila, Andrew Cabrera, Juan Galindo, Gabriel Renteria, Andrew Olmeda, Caden Peña, Vince Perales, Ryan Salazar, Leonard Smith, Devin Ibarra, Ethan Gallegos, Donovan Lincoln are the players. Head coach Gabe Valdez with assistants Trey Smith, Mike Yanez, Nate Salazar, Roman Marquez, Isaac Camacho, and Julius Marquez. Once again, congratulations to the Weslaco Panthers High School basketball team, 32 6A district champions. Also tonight, we would like to congratulate the WISD communications team. Staff members submitted several entries for video graphics, print, and photos to the Texas School Public Relations Association statewide conference. The team was awarded several gold stars and silver stars and bronze stars. In addition, the team won 4 of the highly coveted best of category medals, winning a medal for her Read to Succeed poster, part of the K-West team, Darlene Gracia. The K-West team also won 3 medals in the video competition. K-West won a medal for video news and information for the program Trending at Weslaco ISD. K-West also won a medal in the live video for sports for the game Weslaco versus Donna North homecoming game. And K-West also won a medal for live non-sports event for its production of the 2019 Convocation. Once again, congratulations to everyone on the communications team. Tonight, we'd also like to congratulate the administration, staff, and students at Memorial Elementary. Imagine Learning recently awarded Memorial with the 2019-2020 Imagine National Beacon School Award. Memorial has effectively increased the number of students logging on and completing the online math curriculum. Imagine Learning is a leading educational technology developer of supplemental adaptive curriculum for pre-K through 5th grade students. Memorial is one of only 97 schools across the entire nation to receive the Beacon School Award. Congratulations. Up next, we would like to announce the recipient of the Weslaco ISD A+ Award. And this is someone that goes above and beyond her job description, whether it's entering grades, running report cards, or training teachers and students. This media aide has become a key member at Mary Hogue Middle School. She constantly strives to ensure the campus computers, media, and digital classrooms are running effectively. The tireless multitasker has contributed to the overall success of this campus. From Mary Hogue Middle School, the Employee of the Month is Crystal Sanchez. Congratulations, Crystal. And that concludes, Dr. Canales, our awards and recognitions.
Excellent. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, we congratulate each and every one of the recipients for the awards and recognitions, the sponsors, and everyone that's doing a great job to bring recognition to Weslaco and honor. So thank you very much for everything you do, and we wish you continued success. Item 6, proclamations. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, we have 2 proclamations this month, and Mr. Robledo will lead us in the proclamations. Mr. Robledo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Canales. We have 2 proclamations, as you mentioned, one for Youth Art Month. So this goes out to all the people that are involved in art, the art teachers, and everyone at WISD. Whereas the study of art leads to a fuller, more meaningful life, and whereas art education provides substantial educational benefits to all elementary, middle, and secondary students, and whereas art education develops students' 21st century skills, creativity, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and prepares them for higher learning. And whereas art education teaches sensitivity to beauty, order, and other expressive qualities, it also gives students a deeper understanding of multicultural values and beliefs. Therefore, Armando Cuellar, president of the WISD Board of Trustees, does hereby proclaim March 2021 as Youth Art Month. Up next, we would like to recognize our trainers with this proclamation. Whereas athletic trainers have a long history providing quality health care for athletes and those engaged in physical activity based on specific tasks, knowledge, and skills acquired through their nationally regulated educational processes. And whereas athletic trainers impact healthcare through action, provide prevention of injuries, recognition, evaluation, and treatment, rehabilitation, healthcare, administration, and education and guidance. And whereas the National Athletic Trainers Association represents and supports 45,000 members of the athletic training professionals employed in many settings, including professional sports, college, universities, high schools, clinics, hospitals, corporations, and individual settings, performing arts, and military branches. Therefore, Armando Cuellar, president of the Weslaco ISD School Board of Trustees, does hereby proclaim March 2021 National Athletic Training Month. And I would like to recognize our trainers right now: Gustavo Tony Munoz, Gladys Sosa, Javier Banuelos from Weslaco East. And from Weslaco High School, our trainers are Gary Aguirre, Ale Borrego, and Chuck Estave. And that concludes all our proclamations.
And again, congrats all you that participate with this, and more so with the athletic trainers who I personally had a lot of working relationships with. You guys go above and beyond and put in the hours that a lot of people that don't realize. You're there almost 24/7, because we do have a lot of youngsters that participate in extracurricular activities, and you're not just there for athletics. You're there for anyone that needs your service and your attention. So we're very, very appreciative of what you do, and keep doing the great job that you do, and we're there for you, whatever y'all need. Item 7, public comments.
There are none.
Item 8, superintendent's report. Dr. Canales.
We have several items in the superintendent report. I will display, we do have presentation slides for the report. So give me 1 second to display. The first item is COVID-19 and updates. And if you can see by this graph, this is COVID data for Hidalgo County. The number of new daily cases, the numbers have been decreasing, which is good for all of us across our county and our city. So that is just to show you just that bar graph on that graph on that. The next slide has to do with the number in Weslaco. So the cases are, the number of infections of Weslaco as reported for March 8th were 14. We have sadly lost members in our community over the course of the last month and a half. And we pray and we're hoping that this pandemic will be under control in the near future. The hospital capacity, you can see from this one as well, that the percentage is now at 7.78% hospitalization beds for COVID patients. That is down from last month, and we're hoping that it continues to trend down. But that's just for today. If you notice, well, not today, on March 6th, if you notice on March 5th, it was at 8.15%. So these are numbers that we want to see. We want to see the decline in the number of cases and the number of hospitalization beds used for COVID-19 patients. In Weslaco ISD, we currently have 4 students that are confirmed active with active cases, and 12 staff members confirmed active cases for a total of 16. You can see we do have the breakdown on our dashboard on the website by campus as well. So you can see the campuses here that we have it. Our total enrollment report on this report at 16,602, again, for students. Our numbers of student attendance are going up. We hit over 2,000 4 days last week. And again, today we're about 2,100. So they're going up. That's about maybe 12% of our students are now in schools. The Valley districts, we like to just see what's happening to our neighbors. We do have some like Harlingen with 4 and Edinburgh with 5. Now it all depends on the number of students also attending campuses. Sharyland also has 5. Weslaco has 16. Donna, when we checked this, was at 28. PSJA at 67. Brownsville 75 and McAllen 136. So we'll keep on taking a look at this just to see how we're faring compared to other districts. The one piece we don't have is the total percentage of students or even the number of students attending in the other districts. Constantly reminders, we need to remind ourselves and everybody that we know and love that the importance of staying home. If you feel sick, stay home. So to our employees, many who their work ethic is so powerful that they may want to come to work with a sore throat, stay home. Same thing for our parents. If the students have any symptoms, stay home. We constantly message how to stop the spread. You know, the germs, wash your hands often, wear your mask. We're still wearing our mask. And cover your cough, sneezes, stay 6 feet away from your friends and from others. So, you know, and we have friendly reminders on all our campuses for students who show symptoms while in school, campus visitors, you know, what we do there. We're still checking temperatures. We're still logging in that we're there. We're still being very, very careful, and we'll continue to be in Weslaco ISD. There again, it's just some more reminders and posters that we put up for just everybody to just understand. Even though the numbers are going down, we have to continue to do our part, protect others by protecting ourselves. So for the next part of the COVID-19, go over a couple of updates for disinfecting and protecting. Training continues for our staff in this area. Mr. Riojas, I'm going to ask that you highlight some of the information on the next couple of slides.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Canales. Good evening, Mr. President and members of the board. Yes, just like Dr. Canales mentioned, our practices continue. You know, we continue to work with our custodial staff on these disinfecting or cleaning and sanitizing practices. And so some of the things that we obviously look for on a daily basis are, you know, wiping down, cleaning, especially the high traffic areas. You know, when you walk into our campuses, you're going to notice there's a lot of signage, you know, about washing your hands. We also have signages in the classrooms, in the restrooms, things of that nature. So those practices continue. These are some of the items that you'll see in all our campuses. So I'll give you a quick total. So we have installed 74. These are the wash stations. So these are hand washing stations. And of course, they're all accompanied by a towel dispenser and a soap dispenser as well. And these are throughout the district. We're continuing to get these. As you can imagine, these are hard to come by, but we've been ordering them, and as they're made available to us, we order. So we have a total of 74 installed district-wide. Also, we've installed a total of 88 bottle filling stations throughout the district. You know, our plan is to continue to get some more. We do have a breakdown of how many are per campus, and some of the campuses, you know, we strongly feel that are going to need a few more, especially as we're starting to see the increase of student attending face-to-face instruction. Also, throughout the district, you'll see these new soap dispensers throughout the district. Right now, you're going to see them in a neutral gray color. We just needed to get them on our walls and you know, in our bathrooms and district-wide. But right now, we're starting to transition into school-colored logo dispensers. And these dispensers, the beauty of them is, number one, they're extremely resilient. Number two, they work for both foam hand sanitizing solution and or soap. And so this is a really neat feature. And this is just a quick snippet of what our staff will do in the event that we are notified of a positive in areas where this individual may have been, you know, in our campus. just wanted to show you a quick picture of this is part of the PPE that they wear when they walk in. And of course, you can see them fogging, sanitizing, wiping, all that necessary, important stuff that we need. The next slide. This is a really neat new added program. So we through discussion and just wanting to improve and talking to some of our local experts that do this emergency or sanitizing and cleaning in the private sector, we created a Weslaco ISD COVID-19 emergency response team. And so we've already gone through one training where we're planning on some further training. And the purpose of this team is to provide some advanced training on cleaning procedures and proper use of PPE in the event support is needed for a known positive case. So this is a group of individuals that have volunteered to be a part of this team. We have, I believe, 14 total from within our district, and their purpose will be, as we continue to train them, will be to come in and reinforce the custodial staff in the event that we need to, good Lord willing, we don't have to do this, but in the event that we need to disinfect, sanitize an entire campus. So just, divide and conquer, with a larger amount of people that are specifically trained in this purpose. And that's kind of what this one is. I wanted to put that one in there. And that's the Rocky Balboa sign. We've trained for this, and we're going to continue to train as we move forward. We've got to continue to get better at what we're doing. And the role of our custodian is so important. And we're going to continue to move forward and continue to train, especially as we move towards the spring and into the summer. We can expect quite a bit of training on our custodians, before, as a means to continue to improve. Next slide. And then, of course, this is the air purification devices. We covered this one in meetings prior. Tonight, there will be an item on the agenda to review a recommendation. But the purpose of the HEPA filtration, to clean out the air and remove any small particles, bacteria from an encapsulated area. Estimated cost, these numbers are a lot more concrete now. The slide prior to in previous meetings was a lot of estimated costs. So these numbers are a lot more confirmed. Bullet number of estimated additional units for department support areas. We put approximate on that one. We're still reviewing that area. One of the things that I always keep in mind is what we do for one, we have to do for all. And so we're still working on the total number of areas and kind of the average square footage so that we can recommend the right filtration system or purification system for our department offices as well. But in a nutshell, the unit that we're looking at is going to cover at least 700 square feet or more, and so we feel really comfortable with the unit that we have recommended. The next bullet is a very close total cost. Of course, that cost is only for classrooms. Right now, we're concentrating on the 1,100 or so classrooms that we have that we want to have one of these units installed in. Of course, today is March the 8th. Yes, it is. Checking my phone, make sure that I'm right. And the estimated delivery time, we're still working with whomever the recommended company is, but we're approximately about 6 weeks away from a pending a PO. But we feel that Mr. Medico has done a lot of communication, and we're going to definitely try to speed up the process. But for sure, at least 6 weeks. And that is my part. Thank you, Dr. Canales.
For the next piece, there's some safety checklists that people from central office in support of campuses and principals go out to campuses and check for certain things. I'm happy to share that Dr. Oakes and I tentatively have a meeting for tomorrow. Dr. Oakes did commit to walking campuses with me and giving some feedback on how we can improve as we start getting more students back. So that hopefully that it will happen tomorrow beginning at 9:45. It's tentative right now. But we're constantly looking for ways. What else do we need to do? And as we start getting more students, some of what we have in place will have to be tweaked because of the numbers. And a lot of things won't have to be tweaked. There's some common things that we're just going to have to do for another year, maybe another 2 years, and we're ready for that. So this is just a checklist that was developed when we talked about what needs to be done, what needs to be in place before the school year started. Everything from the temperature checks and thermometers to shields, face masks, and entrance exit signs, things on the floors on campuses on how you navigate the beginning, how you navigate the building, one-way signs, making sure that signs were up and there was enough room between restroom stalls so that students were 6 feet apart, water fountains that were taped, just a whole bunch of different things that we looked for. It became electronic to make it a little bit easier. So people would go out and mark the surveys that we knew where campuses stood. So Dr. Garcia, would you like to continue?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Canales, and good evening, Mr. Cuellar, members of the board. As Coach Riojas and Dr. Canales stated, we are doing a lot to make sure that we keep our students and staff safe. Back when we started coming up with strategies on how to protect our staff and students. Can you go to the next slide, please? So what we decided to do was to make sure that our teachers were armed with the proper PPE. As you notice from this illustration, we have, we created these bags where we included, and there's a checklist of all the items that were included in those bags, which included masks, shields, gloves. In some cases for special education, we also included the gowns, and of course all the sanitizing materials that we need or that teachers need in the classrooms. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, and these are the most recent adaptations of the screens that we provided for the teachers and the staff. Is, if you recall, when we first came up with these, we started to have issues with them, and of course we have an awesome maintenance department. Thank you to the maintenance department who helped us modify, and in some cases we contacted the company. They also modified some of these shields for our students. In some cases they were flimsy, so we wanted to make sure that they were very stable for our students and staff. So these are the most recent. I know it's hard to see, especially the student desk shields, but they are there. They are clear, and they're working very, very well for our students and staff. Next slide, please. I also want to give a shout out to our nurses who have been at the forefront of COVID-19. This is just one of the vaccination clinics that we collaborated with the county and the city. Mother Nature did not cooperate with us, but we were out there. So thank you to the nurses. Just another way that we're trying to provide the community with the vaccinations so that, people, start to, get more or become, their lives can become more normal. And now we're going to go ahead and go into the COVID-19 student rapid testing program. If you all recall, in our previous presentation, we talked about the 2 phases. Phase 1 was going to be the staff testing and screening, and the phase 2 was going to be for the children. So we are now at that phase. But before we go into that, we would just like to remind you, we've been very fortunate to have Dr. Oakes, who has provided very, very pertinent and important information regarding COVID-19 and children. If you all remember at the very beginning of COVID-19, we were all amazed and wondering why the children were not getting infected as much as the older population was. And of course, Dr. Oakes gave us some very important information about why that was the case. So according to Dr. Oakes, of course, this is a very mild illness for children. And of course, it affects adults more than it does the children, especially those under 10. If you all remember COVID-19, the beginning of COVID-19, schools were closed because everybody thought that COVID-19 was going to be like the flu. Well, it wasn't the case. And now we have a lot of information and a lot of data that states otherwise. Okay, so it was one of the reasons, or Dr. Oates gave us some reasons why children are protected from COVID much more than we are. And of course, she gave us, and I know this is information that you probably already know, but it's very important as we go into the presentation on the new testing for children. According to Dr. Oates, the research now shows that the reason why students or younger children do not get COVID as easily as the adults is because they haven't developed some receptors in their nostrils the way that we have. These receptors continue to grow as the children get older. And also the T cells in kids kill the virus in the immune system. They do get what we know as the MIS-C, and this is just an inflammatory condition that affects the children. And she even goes on to say that with the flu, the children get sicker and that it lasts longer than COVID. And she reiterated that she has very few cases of COVID in children in her office. And of course, the reason, one of the most important things that I think that we need to consider is that the American Academy of Pediatrics really supports the idea that parents need to send their children to school. And some of the benefits, as listed right there, outweigh the risks. Of course, children are falling academically. They need to be more physically active. We're starting to see more obesity in children and adults since last March. And also she mentioned the emotional, psychological, and other developmental benefits. And I'm not sure if some of you saw the report this morning on Good Morning America, and they were talking about Zoom stress fatigue, that, now those are studies that have been made. If you consider how often you are in Zoom meetings, you realize that sometimes you leave at the end of the day and all you did was just participate in Zoom. So can you imagine the children going through this as well? But one of her main recommendations is that as long as we continue the mitigation strategies to avoid getting the virus, and she went on to say, look, if we're doing it in the medical community, so we can do it also in the education community. So with this, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Ms. Susan Kaufman, who's just going to talk a little bit about the rapid testing program that is about to begin. Ms. Kaufman, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening, everyone. We're going to begin our rapid testing with our asymptomatic students with apparent consent. We're unable to mandate this testing, and a parent will need to sign a permission slip each time the child wants to be tested. We'll be using the Binax Now rapid COVID testing, which is a screening. So if we do have a positive student, we will refer them to their physician for his or her opinion on what they need to do next. You can go to the next slide. The students will be tested by the nurses and the administrators who have been trained. They need to take a special test in order and course to be trained. We'll be using our kiosks that the maintenance department made for us to decrease the risk of the nurses or the administrators being exposed if someone should become a positive. The parent permission forms will go out this week, and we will begin the week of March 22nd. We have not had a lot of response from the teachers. I looked at it today. We've done about 30 tests throughout the district. Anyone have any questions? All right, thank you.
Ms. Kaufman.
Yes, ma'am?
Why is it that not more teachers are taking advantage of the rapid testing or staff members? What do you attribute that to?
Dr. Garcia did a survey. Do you want to share some of those results from that, Dr. Garcia?
Basically, yes, I went ahead and when we started keeping track, Mr. Nieto, of the rapid testing for teachers, we started to look at the numbers ever since we started testing, and we noticed that the numbers were very low. So I thought that was a great opportunity that we were providing the staff members. So when we saw the numbers that were not very high, we went ahead and conducted a survey with the principals and the nurses. And it turns out that a lot of the staff members say that they basically, say, well, this is just a screening tool, and I'm following all the guidelines. I'm, not, I'm wearing my mask, I'm washing my hands. So a lot of them just say, that unless they start to feel sick, then what they're going to do is they're just going to go to their primary doctor. That's basically what they have been responding to us.
Okay, thank you.
I'm thinking to my mind because on, I believe March 10th is when Texas goes into after March 10th, we don't have to wear a mask. But Weslaco ISD is still requiring masks to be.
Yes, we're requiring masks of anybody, any of our facilities, any of our events. Yes.
Okay.
And I know that Dr. Garcia brought up the vaccination drive you all had. What about teachers? Is that something that's coming, that's in the works, something that's coming down the pipeline?
It is in the works. It's in the works. There's going to be vaccinations this week. So more information's coming. There's a meeting with the city tomorrow.
Okay.
There's plans for during the week of spring break, and then the week after that. And it's going to be for the Delta area. It's going to be for Weslaco ISD staff. I believe Mercedes staff and Ed Couch Elsa
Okay, wow, great.
staff. So that's coming. We just need to we had to finalize the logistics and then so we can get it out with all the information.
All
So
right.
stay tuned.
All right, thank you,
That's
ma'am.
great news for a lot of teachers because they were
yes.
asking about that. So
Definitely.
if you're listening, they're coming soon.
It's important to know we've already vaccinated over 100 staff so far.
And I was going to ask, maybe through voluntary information, I was going to ask, do we have data as far as all of our, like as far as our teaching staff, all our paraprofessionals, well, everybody that works in the district, do we know who's maybe voluntarily, because I know that there's laws or maybe we can't ask them, but are we collecting data like that, surveying them to see who, that way, what I'm trying to think is if that way you have the numbers and the information, the data that we can work with like our county officials and maybe local state individuals to help us
So you're
get
talking
more.
about to find out how many are interested?
Or no, how many already had like a vaccine?
Oh, okay.
I was like, I know it's private information and they can disclose it whether they want to or not, but I was wondering like through a survey. And then that way you'd have that data to show it to maybe our city and county officials and local state reps, and they can help us, maybe acquire more vaccinations for our school staff. I was wondering-
We had a discussion on that. Mr. De La Rosa, are you on? We did have a pre-registration interest
Okay.
form. Are you interested? How many of you? And he does have the numbers. So
Oh, good.
if he's on, he can share at least the numbers that are interested, the number that we are thinking already got it, like Ms. Kaufman mentioned 100.
Right.
And how many are left?
Okay.
That
Yes.
express-
Good evening, Dr. Canales, Mr. President, members of the board. To answer your question, Mr. De Los Santos, we had a pre-registration form that was sent out to all employees. Roughly a little under 1,000 employees pre-registered for the vaccine. As Ms. Kaufman said, we've probably got about 100 already that have already gotten their vaccine. I know there are plenty more that have gotten it through other means, either through DHR or through their doctor or other vaccination sites around the valley. We do anticipate sending out notice to approximately 200 employees for a Wednesday clinic, and then hopefully another 500 employees over spring break. The Texas Department of Health and Human Services, they recently determined that school and child care personnel are eligible to receive the vaccine. The problem is there's just not enough to vaccinate everybody in one sitting. So we've just kind of got to piecemeal it. But as Dr. Canales mentioned, we're very confident that over the next 3 weeks, every employee who wants a vaccine will be able to obtain a vaccine. So we are working with that, and it is the county that administers the vaccines and their allotment. So it's just kind of a matter of, how much they give the city, and then how much the city will reserve for WISD employees. But it's looking very promising.
Great news. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All WIC employees, correct? Doesn't matter. As long as you're employed with the district, anybody can take the vaccine.
Anybody from teachers to custodians, bus drivers, administrators, everybody that works with kids and works together in this environment, of course, is at equal risk. So yeah, it's open to everybody, Mrs. Staita.
Yeah, Mr.
Who
Del
wants it?
Yeah, Mr. Del Rosso, you add how the information regarding who goes first and where that comes from in terms of like identifying who would be the first ones among all employees?
Yeah, right now, between the city and Office of Emergency Management, we're doing it by age. So all the employees that signed up or pre-registered, if you will, all employees 65 and over who registered were sent that notification, and there was a clinic last Tuesday. So we're just going by ages and how many vaccines are available. So again, we're anticipating, 200 employees will get notice hopefully tomorrow early, so they can make arrangements to show up on Wednesday. And that's just kind of done down the line by age. So we're starting with the oldest staff members, working our way down to the youngest.
Any vaccine is a good vaccine, but may I ask which vaccine is this one?
This is the Moderna vaccine.
Okay.
Thank you. So moving on with the on COVID-19 academic preparedness, a lot of work happened not only over the summer, but last spring. It is a year ago when we were all came to a halt because of the pandemic. We went home for spring break, looking to the promise of the end of another wonderful traditional school year, and did not have that for a lot of our students and our staff because of the pandemic. But a lot of the work, the pre-work, was in academic preparedness. We knew and we anticipated that there would be a slide. You see the slide, you see the failures. It's a national challenge right now. So we'd like to just highlight a few things of what we did for what we've done, and maybe with a few highlights of what we're going to do as we move forward for the future, because we are planning future forward and making up the slides that we're expecting. So Mr. Aguilar has been working closely with the strategists along with Mrs. Peña and the principals on the academic preparation.
Thank you, Dr. Canales, Mr. Cuellar, Board President, members of the board. Next slide, please, Dr. Canales. As Dr. Canales mentioned, we were a year ago in this situation, and we had to take a pivot during spring break as we received guidance from TA moving forward with our instruction and how we were going to handle instruction moving forward. The first week or so after that, we started with creating and disseminating packets on our campuses with our principals and our teachers. That was about a couple of weeks. Then slowly we started, right after that, distributing our Chromebooks. So we have about 17,000 Chromebooks district-wide that we started getting out to our families to ensure that they were going to have access to remote instruction. At that time, we did not have access to our hotspots, and that was something that we started working on quickly. So for students that didn't have access to internet at home, we continued with our instructional packets. But looking here with our instructional technology department, they've been very instrumental working through not only in the spring, but prior to that, developing the professional development pathways for teachers, administration counselors, parents, and so forth. And what we have here is just a breakdown where we have professional development, we have instructional planning and design, and each one and you'll have more information, robust information under the blue links. It gives more information for our teachers, but we really focused a lot on developing our leadership on summer planning committee to move forward. We had about 35 key core members along with central office administration to move forward with the planning on what we were going to be doing moving into the summer and into the fall. So next slide, Dr. Canales. What you have here is, again, continuing with our instructional technology department. Again, working with their instructional system support, we had to purchase more products, install, connect, and streamline the hardware and software to provide optimal delivery of instruction. And of course, we have more documents that are supported underneath the highlighted blue links that we have there. Our technical support was very critical because we had to continue providing these supports, and working closely with our technology department as well as our campus librarians and district library services. They were instrumental to making sure that we had that active connectivity taking place. Next slide. So what you have there in front of you is a little timeline on when we got started in August with distributing hotspots. And you see, as we had about 10 different rounds, we were distributing based on need per family. When we first started out with our Chromebooks, we started off number of Chromebooks based on the number of students at home. More students, more Chromebooks. So we wanted to make sure that we had equitable distribution to our families. As the year went by, we started issuing out more devices and Chromebooks to make sure that we had everyone connected remotely, starting off at the beginning of the year and moving towards the fall. Next slide, please. So what you have here before you, again, there's just so much information that we're just concentrating just on a few points here. Our library services continued with the guidance and support, and we're focused on different subtopics there. We focused on professional learning, student and teacher resources, campus and home visits, and of course, our parent, family, and community engagement was very critical. So again, we wanted to make sure that our ongoing digital resources for professional learning was active for all staff, and continuing that support. So kudos out to our librarians, our library service director, Ms. Dyer, also spearheaded a lot at the district level, so they were very instrumental in that. Next slide, please. Here before you, we have our instructional technology coaches that we have on our campuses. Our technology department, along with Mrs. Peña, work closely with our instructional technology coaches to coaching Weslaco ISD teachers for continued effective instruction on coaching invitations. And you see some of those points down there that we have. We have data-driven instruction to our TEKS mastery. Our TEKS is our flagship curriculum, so that's what we follow to make sure everyone continues with the instruction and student expectations that are mandated by the state. We want to avoid random variation of teaching, so we want to make sure that we're following our state curriculum. We also have personalized professional development, and there's some examples to the right on the box with our instructional technology coaches. Next slide, please.
And call the instructional coach.
Pardon?
I just keep on getting that keep calm
Oh.
and call the instructional coach.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
There's a little flasher on it. Okay.
So here we have just a little snippet based on our departments on the guidance and support that they provide our campuses, and that goes from our teachers to our students to our administrators. And we have, again, professional learning all the way to parent-family engagement. For example, teacher resources down there, you have causes for failures of EL Interventions Handbook. What's highlighted, bilingual ESL teacher resources, the chair meetings, book studies, everything that we can do to provide continued learning and support. This is what you have. And these are just some brief snippets. Next slide, please. Special education is another one that we have for our instructional. Again, they also continued training through virtual accommodations, designated supports for practice opportunities, conducting special education teachers coordination meetings to keep staff informed and updated, and continuing developing our protocols and virtual parent training sessions. That's something that's continuing, and we want to make sure that we continue supporting our parents. Next slide. We have our fine arts department, and of course you see several of the highlights. Doesn't give it all due justice because our fine arts department really pushes it and provides several opportunities. But there you see a lot on what they've done since last year, even during the pandemic that we've had in place. So kudos to Mr. Bissett and the fine arts department. Next slide. We have our science department guidance and support. Again, we focused on professional learning, teacher resources, campus visits, and again, the parent, family, and community engagement component. We're very big on our newsletter. So if you have an opportunity to go in there, look at our newsletters. Our strategists do provide a lot of information that's useful, and they get them out there in time. We also focused a lot on our synchronous, asynchronous focus, along with training videos that was available for all our teachers and staff. Next slide. Our migrant department, again, they have series of links of support, guidance and support through our Region 1 video training libraries, as well as the teacher resources to make sure that we're supporting all the instruction, the virtual learning and home visits, instructional assistance, and moving forward with several meetings and workforce solutions participating, as well as food drives, scholastic book and supply Chromebook distributions, and so forth. So kudos to Mr. Lopez, Ms. Cardenas, and Ms. Moreno for working very close with our migrant department. Next slide. Our English language department, again, guidance and support. Our district websites where they have several teacher resources. We have our monthly newsletters, again, focusing, as you can see there, a TEACS resource system, because that is our flagship curriculum, focused with Eduphoria, the virtual learning classroom visits. They pop into our classrooms district-wide, provide support for our teachers. Administrators may reach out and let us know, look, we need some help here. Can you please provide some more guidance? So we have that constant communication taking place. A little box, we just celebrated Weslaco ISD Reads Across America. That took place on March 2nd. So we had several virtual read-alouds throughout the district, and that was a great success. It was exciting, and we had a wonderful time with that. Next slide. Here we have our, again, our continued with our English language department, elementary and secondary. And these are just a lot of the highlights for professional learning, continuing providing that support for our teachers through different avenues to make sure that they're kept up to par with the latest moving forward and everything that's coming down the pipeline and recommendations from TEA. Next slide. Mathematics department, you have an example there of what we have with our professional learning, staff development, how they're working through their PLCs. Again, the curriculum writing, share outs, data talks, district assessment overviews, instructional best practices, everything that we can do to provide the support. This is constant discussions that we have with our CNI team to make sure that they're readily available to support our teachers and staff and campus administrators. Next slide, Dr. Canales. Social studies department, same thing. We have the support, as you can see, through the professional learning, teaching resources, virtual learning, classroom visits, everything from resources from Exploros, Integra, Apex, test banks, professional learning communities, a lot of district talks and district assessment overviews, as well as our virtual classroom visits. Next slide. This is a supporting social emotional learning and mental health. This is through our student support services with Ms. Brewer and her staff. And again, they're continuing to provide the mental health support for counselors, students, building that character education. Still continue with our Leader in Me program in the elementary schools and the middle schools. And we continue with other social emotional learning, because this is a critical component that we talk about with our principals, that we have to make sure that this is part and moving forward as we continue transitioning students on our campus. Next slide, please. This is our advanced academics department that we have here with Ms. Fritz. Again, you see the professional learning with our GT, instructional planning and design, how it's broken down. A lot more information that you have in those links, instructional support, updates and information. And again, a lot of support that we're providing to ensure GT certification compliance and make sure that students have what they need on the campus. Next slide, Dr. Canales. Then we have our career and technology education department. Again, all the supports, professional learning, teacher and student resources, campus visits, everything they're doing to address CTE, the digital learning, supplement for students, partnership for career guidance and activities. So you see all the support that's being provided there. Next slide, Dr. Canales.
Oh, I alluded to that earlier about our increases in the number of students attending on campus. And you can see this was for last week, this week. Today we were at 2197, somewhere near there.
Mhm.
So
we had an average of 394 students increase from one week to the next on our campuses. So we're seeing that increase on campus instruction. And that's something that we continue to prepare for moving forward.
Yeah, and this is something that we have to, the state TA is expecting to see for the rest of the school year if we want to be held to hold harmless, which will help us with funding. So we have to maintain or increase on-campus attendance. If it's maintained, we have to figure out what date is that's going to be set. But basically, the hold harmless will allow us to receive funding based upon previous years with some statistics they did, and not solely just this year. So it's really, really important that we continue to serve our kids on campus. And if they're not on campus, that they are definitely engaged at home so we can capture them remotely.
That's my section of the academic preparedness. If there's any questions, if you'd like more detail on a certain department or a program, that we'd be more than happy to go over that with you.
Mr. Aguilar,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
do have a question about the advanced academics or the Quest program. Speaking as a mother, because my children or my students say, Mom, this is just more work. I have more work to do. I already have a lot, and here's just extra work. How are we handling that? I know before the kids would go to a teacher on campus, to their Quest teacher. How are we doing that now with the kids? Who's in charge, or how are they getting their Quest class?
So what Ms. Fritz is doing, she's working closely with the GT coordinator on campus. The teachers are providing the services for our students. And that's something that we're going to go back and we're going to revisit once we get to the staffing piece. And that's going to be moving forward. But one of the main things that we do have our discussions with our staff and along with Ms. Fritz, and she can provide a little bit more information. She is online. We want to make sure that we are being flexible and we're providing the support for the students. Flexibility is going to be key. And of course, we want to make sure that we're following through with the parameters of what's mandated for our GT students. And that's what's important. But we are working through, there's been some questions and there's been some follow-up on some of the campuses, but we just want to make sure that we have that flexibility in place. And that's what we're doing right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I had heard that some teachers are doing direct instruction already in the classroom.
That is correct, sir. So
Okay.
we are working through some direct instruction on there, and we've been having those robust communications with our principals and administrators, as well as our CNI staff. So one of the things that right now we're working and we're going to be presenting to the board coming in April, our Weslaco ISD Learning Loss Recovery Plan it's in the process right now that we're identifying first to attack the summer and then coming into the fall. And of course, we will be setting up some meetings with the board team for instruction to present and of course provide more guidance and support as we move forward with that. But we do have instruction taking place direct, where they've been making adjustments to keep the safety at the forefront and working with our students, truly defining the models. So right now, what we're looking and having more clear discussions with is our split staffing, of course, with the remote, and it's going to be the on-campus instruction, the face-to-face, clearly defining what that looks like and what it's going to look like in the future as we continue moving forward with that. The other one is our concurrent, which we currently do, but clearly defining what concurrent truly means. And that's something, because we're still in that transition with that safety and understanding with our teachers in the classroom is that safety, and we want to make sure that everyone is kept safe.
Right.
But yes, we are making adjustments. We were talking about and sharing out, as a matter of fact, we had our principals meeting on Friday, and several of our principals shared out on what they're doing on that face-to-face instruction to start engaging in that manner. So the comfort level is getting better on our campuses as the numbers increase. Now with the vaccinations in place, and of course, all the safety protocols that are in place that Coach Rojas and Dr. Garcia shared, the comfort there is getting there. We're moving with our staff and we're helping them out, because our main thing is, what do we need to make sure that you're safe?
Right.
What do you need? What else do you need so we can make sure we keep you safe? But it's very important. It's going to be critical that we engage them. Direct instruction, as you mentioned, Mr. De Los Santos. That's going to be very important as we move forward.
As we continue to meet with the commissioner, we had a meeting with him on Thursday. Well, he just, virtually, he's basically just talking to us and telling us, right? And it seems like, and with what's coming out of the CDC, and every day you see something, there's starting to be a lot of hope across the medical community and across the educational community in the nation, that with the vaccinations, with the mitigation, we'll continue to wear a mask, that there is hope that we may get back to some sense of what our children and our staff knew as normal within the next year. So we'll have to wait and see. Of course, we have to follow the guidelines not only from the Centers for Disease Control and the Department of State Health Services, but the Texas Education Agency. Right now, like even for the masks, they're giving flexibilities to school boards, local control, to decide whether it's masks that if you don't want to wear them, you take action for boards to take action. But even today, I read something really quickly or was told something really quickly about their coming out, that people who get tested, who get vaccinated, can, congregate and be close to each other. And you still have to be very, very careful. But a little bit more that you can be a little bit more at ease. So it's more or less a wait and see. But TA is saying that they're wanting kids back on campus. They want us back to as normal as we can get, and not only the learning loss recovery plan, but just setting up. We're going to have like a plan A and a plan B for next year, because it's going to be like it was last year, meeting with the commissioner, getting direction from TA, and the direction changing as we study the data and the effectiveness of the vaccines and other factors. So, but there's a lot of hope that maybe one day soon we'll be back close to normal.
Yes. Ma'am, I'll ask you, you're going to go through?
Yes.
I'll just ask, for those commissioner meetings, do you think you could provide us like maybe with an update, like a summary?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we definitely could. He was meeting with us every single week. Initially like last March, and then it's like now that it was every 2 weeks, and then now there's summer now. But we'd be happy to provide the board update. Synopsis of here's what he discussed.
Direction.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
And also, we are focusing on our campuses with our CNI staff and our campus administrators and our teachers. Our focus is really targeting and zoning in and attacking that failure rate. And we've really been working very hard. I commend our teachers, our staff, our principals. Everyone's been working very hard to work closely. That's where you're seeing a big increase coming back on campus, because they're really reaching out quite a bit. So after the 6 weeks after April 16th, we'll be extracting some more data and presenting to the board, where we will compare the third 6 weeks to fifth 6 weeks to give you an idea of where we're at with our campuses. But we are targeting it. We are working closely. We discuss that on a daily basis on what we're doing to provide the support to our students to make sure that it becomes a win-win situation for everyone.
Yeah, we're also looking at our policy that has to do with promotion, especially promotion tied to reading levels. It's above and beyond what the state requires, what's legally required, and coming up with some type of format, maybe like the individual graduation committees, an individual placement committee, to look at the totality of where we are and what kids have learned. So we will be bringing a resolution or an amendment to that policy temporarily until we get through this. So staff is working on that. And then kudos to just the curriculum instruction team, to Mr. Aguilar. Mrs. Peterson used to be a big part of that. Mrs. Pena, Scott and Julie, just everybody working together on figuring that out. I think we have a partnership that's taken on a new level with campuses as we've navigated this, and have heard, lots of positive comments and feedback from our principals and staff about the level of support that the curriculum and instruction, and it's a big team, has been, providing. So just thank you to Mr. Aguilar and Mrs. Pena and the entire team.
Dr. Canales, I'm starting to get the questions regarding graduation. Is there any updates you can give us on that?
We can give you an update soon on graduations. We are planning, we had a parent talk, was that last board meeting? We're in total agreement. If we can pull off having, events at the stadium, we can pull off having events at the stadium. So we're looking forward to live graduations. We'll have to monitor and, just like we had during football season at the stadium, certain number of tickets and all that, but we're going to be working through that.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're still, things like, there's some other annual events that are still up in the air, trying to figure out how we can do them differently, but still have them.
Norm, as we visit campuses, our CNI staff they visit campuses, providing the support for our teachers to get them more comfortable. But, when you still have that little, I'm concerned, we try to say, what else do you need? So we can make sure that you're safe. And we just want to make sure that we provide the support for them. We're there. Our main motto here is provide guidance and support, and what do we need to provide to support our campuses. That's what we work on, and that's what we always discuss, and that's what we're here to do.
I'd like to share. We had a couple of, well, I know I did have a couple of emails and concerned parents. And I feel the same. I must agree. And Mr. Gonzalez and I were talking about that before the meeting, how I think a lot of parents would send their kids back. We talked about it. If, the face-to-face was there and they could move around and it was a little more normal. Like you said, I know it's going to take time. We're not there yet. And I know I may be speaking a little early, but do you see that happening maybe even at the beginning of next year in August so the kids can kick off?
Our discussion last week, ma'am. We discussed that in detail with our principals and our CNI staff, and I'm glad you're asking that.
Okay.
Because the question that was posed to our team was this: do you feel, with the movement that we've seen with the governor, we've seen with our commissioner, the mask man, everything but vaccinations, the question was asked, and we just wanted their feedback. What movement do you see for the fall? And of course, we're seeing more of that face-to-face instruction. But then the question was asked, do you feel that remote instruction will be completely abandoned? And the response was no. So that's why we're still working on gauging both. The focus is going to be more of that face-to-face with the safety, but also not abandoning that remote instruction. And so we've been having very good discussions on that. So that, of course, we go through our process, through our CNI team, through our principals, and of course engage our board in discussions for guidance and feedback, and then before we even roll it out and move forward. So you'll be receiving more information as we move along.
Sounds good.
Ms. Jackie, I think what we've heard from the parents is our kids need that face-to-face, and I know I'm a big advocate of it. I shared with y'all previously, but I think our parents, if they knew they had the face-to-face, they'd be sending their kids now. So I know we got to look at our numbers, Doc, but maybe you start a little hybrid the last 2 months, the last 6 weeks of the class, or maybe just the last 6 weeks, and let's just try out a little hybrid, for those students that we currently do have. I can only speak for my Ryan because there's only 5 in 8th grade. Well, those 5 honestly should get face-to-face, so let's see if maybe y'all can come up with something just for the last 6 weeks. We still have to stay safe and meet of all those requirements. But like that article Dr. Canales was talking about, those that got vaccinated can be in small groups with or without mask. And I think if our teachers and staff take advantage of the weeks to come with these vaccinations, that everybody in our school district can have that vaccine, then maybe the comfort level rises to say, hey, you know what? I got my vaccines now. Dr. Oaks has shared already those under the age of 10. Maybe our elementary teachers say, hey, you know what? I want them back, and let's do this face-to-face now. So maybe y'all can come up. I know y'all are working tremendously. Kudos to your whole staff, Doc. But, if maybe this last 6 weeks, maybe we can have a little hybrid and try it out in some elementary schools that want to participate, some middle schools. I mean, I don't know, right? But maybe just a thought, and maybe that last 6 weeks, our numbers tend to go up, because if one parent hears that there's face-to-face, I guarantee you'll have more parents send their child.
Yeah. And we also have, just for the board, we have for every single campus the number of students that we can accommodate at the 6 feet apart. So, we take a look at that. The other thing is, those are some good points we have talked as we move into the fall, because we don't know what TA is going to say about the fall yet. But we do know that through summer school and maybe through the remaining weeks of school, we can try out some different pilots. We'll call them pilots, to see what works as we start planning for the fall. So let the team think about it and see what we can come up with.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other questions regarding the program?
I'm good.
Any departments for instruction or anything you can answer?
Great job.
Thank you, sir.
We'll put the PowerPoint in the board update this week. And remember, the links hopefully we can get them to be live, and the board updates that you can just go and look at some of the links from some of the
It's a lot
departments.
of information there for you. So our team has been working very hard on that. So it'll give you more details, and if any more questions that you have or want a little bit us to provide a little more clarity, we'll be more than happy to do so.
Thank you.
Okay, and then Mr. President, I'm going to move into enrollment. So just an update on enrollment. Remember, enrollment is, last year at this time, we were at 17,203. We're at 16,578. That is a difference of 625. That's a big difference. Now, remember, enrollment includes just everybody, including students that may not be in membership or that generate either half-day funding or full-day funding. What we budget on is ADA, so that's the next column. We budgeted on 15,200 ADA. Last year at this time, we were at 15,156. This year, we're at 15,095. That's a difference of 60. So if you subtract the 15,095 from the 15,200, we're short about how much money, Andres?
Just with 100, it's about 750,000.
About 750,000. So something that we've got to pay attention to. We were still cleaning up some of our attendance data, and by we're not making it up. Cleaning it up means is we're going back, making sure we captured all the kids who attended remote asynchronously before 11:59 p.m. But we got to watch that carefully. We need, if our parents are listening, we need our children to come to our campuses, call the principals, and or make sure that you're engaging and learning every single day. This is the way that we get you ready for the next grade level in the future. So this is something that we're watching very carefully. And yes, sir.
Yeah, do you foresee the state working with districts due to the pandemic and due to some people not having connectivity, some parents not sending their kids to school on campus? Do you see the state working with districts in any way, maybe using the previous year's ADA or anything like that coming down the pipeline?
You know, that's a whole harmless.
discussion.
That's a whole harmless. If we can increase the on-campus, Mr. Andres, do you want to spend a little bit about hold harmless?
I'm going to be talking about it in a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to address it, yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So if we can get, maintain or increase on-campus attendance, they will give us whole harmless for the rest of the year. That will make up for some of this. So it's important. Good question. Then the average daily comparison, we do not have 4,832 kids in our alternative school. That is our high schools. Those numbers are inverted, okay? So it shows the difference by campus levels, like for example, 495 difference to the negative from last year at this time to this year at this time at the elementary, 78 to the negative at middle schools, 99 at the high schools. Well, actually, 176 positive at the high schools, 99 at the alternative schools, and 129 negative at the ELF Academy. And then, of course, we focus on ADA, and there you have the 60 to the negative difference between last year and this year for ADA. And again, we budgeted, everything's budgeted on 15,200. If there's no questions about that, we're going to move into the insurance, and Mr. De Rosa will go over these slides.
Thank you, Dr. Canales. Good evening again. This is the standard health insurance slide that is presented every month. I'm going to go ahead and approximate the numbers just to save a little bit of time. This data runs September 1st, 2020 to February 28th. And medical claims, the district spent just over $5 million this time last year versus this year we're at $5.6 million. That's an increase of approximately $688,000. In prescription drugs, last year we spent $2.4 million. This year we're at just over $3 an increase of $685,000. In fixed costs, last year we're at $1.2 million. We're at 1.3. That's pretty much, on track with where we're supposed to be. So for a grand total of last year at this time, we're at $8.5 million. This year, just a little over $10 million. That's approximately 33% increase. And that $10 million is net of $1.4 million that we received in stop loss reimbursements. So as far as the increase go, I have some data that fortunately I don't have on the screen here, but this is just through the end of January. I should have February data here soon, and I'll share it with you. That $1.5 million increase, roughly about $661,000 of that is due to COVID-19 treatment. That's through the end. That's through January data, not February. And then that also includes $162,000 that we spent on COVID testing for our employees and members of their family that are on the plan. So roughly through January, we can account for about $823,000 of that increase based solely just on COVID. I'll have updated data hopefully for you on the next meeting through March. The next slide represents our self-funded workers' compensation program. Last year at this time, we had 46 claims versus this year through February, we've had 30. Last year, we paid little over approximately $98,000. This year, we're at $38,000. So we incurred last year $178,417 versus this year we've incurred $81,000, almost $82,000, which leaves outstanding reserves comparing last year to this year at $43,651. So that tells us that our workers' compensation program is doing very well. And that is my report if anybody has any questions.
Finally, we have a superintendent's report on the budget. Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, Mr. Cuellar, members of the board, this is a report on the budget. I'm going to give you a brief explanation. I'm going to touch on the budgeted revenues and an update on the major component of each part of the budget. The general fund revenues in the budget, the local revenues budgeted were 24.9 million. The state revenues, 137,408,000, and the federal revenues was 13,459,000, for a total of 175,776,000. The local revenues are based mostly on the property tax revenues. We budgeted on 91% of the tax levy. For the budget on the current levy on taxes was 23,230,880. We have collected 20,451,280 as of January 31, and that represents 88%. And this is collections, not necessarily what the levy has on the reports from the tax office. As of February 25th, which is last week, the last time we received money from the tax office, we had collected $22,159,607. That is 95% of the budget for tax collections on the property taxes. So we have collected most of the money on the property taxes, so that's going pretty well. The next slide, please. Thank you. The state revenues are based mostly on average daily attendance. As Dr. Canales mentioned earlier, the budgeted ADA is 15,200. The report that I have for the ADA that generates funding from the state is 15,044 ADA, which represents a deficit of $1.1 million in state revenues related to ADA. So that is pretty bad. Now, because the conditions that Mr. De Los Santos mentioned, TA did mention some hold harmless provisions, which are explained in the next page. And if we meet certain requirements, that would cover that. So can you go to the next slide, please? And then I'll come back to this one. This is a presentation. It's kind of small. Let me see if I can make it bigger. There you go. The first 6 weeks were pretty much covered on the whole harmless, because the first 2, we had collected a pretty good ADA number. The third 6 weeks, we opened school to all students that wanted to come to school. So because we had school open, we covered by the whole harmless again. The remaining 6 weeks, which is the second semester, TA mentioned that what Dr. Canales said, if on the six weeks, which is the last 6 week section from the middle of April through the end of May, if we have an 88% attendance of all the students enrolled, or at least the percentage reported from the enrolled students on October 30, if we can have at least that amount, we had 402 students enrolled as of October 30, as reported in PIMS to the state. If we have at least that many students on the 6 weeks, we'll be covered with the whole campus as well. So right now, looks like we will, but then I guess TA knows that the 6 weeks is the attendance go down, especially for us, or districts that have a lot of migrant students. So right now, it looks like we will. So TA is making an effort to help school districts because of the effect of COVID-19 on attendance. Can you please go back to the prior page? Thank you. On the federal revenues, those are mostly based on food service, breakfast and lunch meals served to students. We had the budget right now, as through meals served through February, we are about $900,000, a projection based on those meals served now. For the rest of the year, we expect that we'll be about $900,000 short, which is a large number. The USDA and the TDA, which is United States Department of Agriculture and the Texas Department of Agriculture, are working with school districts to provide some relief from that. And we expect to receive a check for about $1,072,000 to help us. So that should cover the deficit that we have this year. So in that part of the federal revenues, we might be okay by the end of the year. Any questions on that part of the report? No questions?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Andres.
Thank you.
And that concludes the superintendent's report. President, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Canales. We'll take us to item 9, consent agenda. Take a look at the items presented. And then I'll ask you if you have something that you'd like to pull. Okay. Jackie? Is there anything?
No
None?
comments.
Dr. Gonzalez?
No, sir, none.
Dr. Jaime?
No, sir, I have none.
Coach Trevino?
No, sir.
Mr. Nieto?
None.
And Mr. De Los Santos Mort?
None, sir.
None. Okay, Mr. Gonzalez makes motions to approve.
Second?
Second by Mr. Nieto.
Yes, sir.
Take it to a vote. Mr. Saita?
Aye.
Gonzalez?
Aye.
Dr. Jaime?
Aye.
Coach Trevino?
Aye.
Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
And Mr. Los Santos?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item 10, discussion items. A, interim financial report for the 6 months ended February 28, 2021, and B, acknowledgement of Hidalgo County Tax Office collection report for January 2021. Current taxes and delinquent taxes. Dr. Canales.
Okay, we'll start with the interim financial report for the 6 months ended February 28, 2021. Board of Trustees, this is a no action item, and Mr. Sanchez highlighted some points. He'll reiterate some and add a few. Mr. Sanchez.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Canales. Yes, for the 6 months ended February 28, 2021, from local revenues budget of $24,988,000, we have received $22,984,583. That is 92.28% of the entire local revenues. From the state budgeted revenues of $137,408,000, we have received $84,672,000. That represents 61.62%. The federal revenues, total revenues, federal, in the general fund of $13,460,000 budgeted. We have received $4,486,323. That represents 33.33%. So from all the revenues budgeted, we have received almost 64% for the year. Any questions on that?
No, sir.
On the expenditure side, the total expenditure budget, including funds added after the adoption of the budget, as explained before, we have a total of $635,000, broken down in 5 categories. The first one is instructional related. and that is $116,476 budgeted. We have expended or encumbered $47,706,000, and that is 55.25%. And that includes, again, functions 11, 12, 13, 31, and 95, which is basically instruction, items for the library, child development and counseling, and instructional support. Those are the function 32 to 36, and this is social services, nursing, transportation, food services, and co-curricular. Excuse me. The budget is $26,407,000. We have expended or encumbered $13,575,000, and that represents 46%. From administration, functions 21, 23, 41, and 99. 14 million.
Continue, are you okay?
Well, let me continue.
Okay.
If I continue, then I'll please. Thank you. 14,390,000 budgeted. He expended or encumbered 7,290,000, and that is almost 62%. District-wide support, that is functions 51, 52, 53, and 61, of 25,792,000 budgeted. We have expended or encumbered 11,508,000, and that is 43.6%. And of debt service, which is the payment of the maintenance tax note in the general fund, we have a budget of 2.5 million. We have expended only 1.1 million, so February 28, and that is 43.78%. That is expenditures. Any questions on that? This chart is the one that shows the fund that was added to the budget after the adoption. And we had gone over this last month. The main item here that I need to mention, the carryover of state allotment funds of $5.5 million. This figure increased from last time by about $270,000 for the bilingual and CCMR funds that we approved last month. The board approved a budget amendment to roll forward funds from last year. So the new amount is $9.8 million that were added to the original budget to come up with the final number that I mentioned earlier. And these are the items that we mentioned before. Two of the items, sections 2 and 3, that roll forward assigned for purchase orders of 1.2 million, and also for minor fund balance that we have rolled forward of 48,000. The last three items are the item that came from the fund balance unassigned for PPE, sanitation, and test shields for teachers and students, employee incentive pay, and also the Carton X subscription renewal that the board approved as well. All those items total $9,858,000. Go to the next slide, please. And together with the original budget of $175,776,000, total to the amended budget for expenditures of $185,635,000. That's the last slide. That is the financial report.
Hey, any discussion? Andres, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Item 11.
Oh,
Discussion and possible action items.
10B, we did not cover 10B, President Glad. Item 10B, acknowledgement of Hidalgo County Tax Office collections reports for January 2021. Current taxes. So, we need to cover that one, Mr. Sanchez.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes, that's it.
Yes, on this report through January 31, on current taxes of the original levy of $25,670,000 rounded, we collected through January 31, $20,860,000, which represents 79.83%. The year before, as of January 31, we had collected 77.78%. That means we have collected 2% more than the prior year on the current levy taxes. And on the delinquent taxes, which is on prior year's levy, out of a original amount of $4,183,000, we have collected $551,375, and that represents 13.4%. The year before, as of January 31, we collected 10.29. So for the prior year levy, we have collected 3.11% higher, more collections of those taxes. So far the taxes are going well. And this is through January 31, not February 28. That is the report.
Okay, Andrea.
Yes, sir.
Excuse the haste on my part, but when I asked you we're done, I thought we were done. So
Because I covered some of that earlier.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Hey, Dr. Canales.
Okay, so that,
Now we go to item 11.
yes, sir.
Discussion and possible action items. A, discussion and possible action to approve changes to policy DC local employment practices. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, we are recommending that you decide whether you want to approve the changes to policy DC local. And I'm going to highlight some of the items on that. So if you'll turn the page on DC local, it would be employment of all personnel, not just contractual personnel. So the word contractual will be, strike that one out. And it would say the board retains the final authority for the employment of contractual and non-contractual personnel. And then the non-contractual employment of personnel would be deleted because that was delegated to the superintendent, the final authority to employ and dismiss non-contractual employees. We did work with TASB on this. And so this policy would reflect that the Board of Trustees would retain final authority for the employment of contractual and non-contractual personnel. The representative from TASB just said the only thing to consider is that to expect delays sometimes in hiring of non-contractual staff, since we'll need a board meeting to bring them for the board to authorize. So that concludes, that's the highlights of the rationale and the changes to this policy. So it's up for your discussion and action. President Gued.
And just so that we're all in tune with the hiring practices, are all stipends and everything that was board approved going to be in order with every individual that's being approved when it comes to wages and stipends?
Well, yeah, in terms of stipends, the stipends are in the compensation manual, so they'll get their salary and they're coaches or academic coaches or athletic coaches, their stipend amounts with them doing those extra duties for stipends. So I don't know if that was your question on this piece.
As far as oversight, like if it comes to, if the board's made aware of changes in stipends? Was that the question?
Yes, well, anytime that there is something to be upgraded or, sometimes you have a coaching change, et cetera. Well, those stipends will be made available so that we're aware of what's being approved and or recommended so that we can approve those things.
Like what changes are going throughout the year?
I'm sorry. Okay, Mr. Santos.
Yeah, like what changes are happening throughout the year? I think that's the question.
Okay.
Mental duty, like a gas card or something, like who's assigned kind of a thing, like a stipend? Is that what you mean? Like or any extra duties you want to know, you were assigned this extra duty, so you want to know if it was the stipend that was assigned?
And this will be all part of this process. I mean, we just want to go through a good checks and balances and be consistent with everything that's being done for all employees that are being hired by Weslaco ISD.
Yeah, this policy, the way I understand it, President Glad, would be solely for approving the contractual, non-contractual,
Yes.
employment. You
Yes,
would have the authority to do that.
I
In
understand.
addition to that, so the request is when we have employees that are going to get stipends for the first time, or there's a change in stipend, to keep the board informed on that piece as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Compensation plan, you have a list of all the stipends for academics, for UIL, for athletics, all the compensation. In the compensation plan, you'll have all that. But you're talking about the individual one when we hire a first time, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
And I don't know, when we get presented with new hires, I think we usually see the range, salary range. And now you maybe where they can list what stipends this person would also be qualified for. Is that I don't know if we
That
see
would be in order, right, Dr. Nader? Because you have your low, your mid, and your.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
For the salary for certain positions, there's the low, the mid, and the high. You are correct. And you look at the experience, and that's when they come in. But in addition to that, if an employee's coming in as, let's say, a teacher, and they're going to be a head coach for, I don't know, basketball, that would also be shared with you. You know, not only are they going to be the teacher, they will be getting this much of a stipend because they're going to be coaching basketball.
Okay, council, are we good to, do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
I second.
We have, who made the motion?
Mr. Nieto.
Mr. Nieto, okay. And Jackie, you second?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Nieto and a second by Mr. Staita to approve changes to the policy DC local employment practices. Do we have any discussion? Okay, let's take it to a vote. Signify your approval by saying aye or no if you don't approve. Mr. Staita?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Dr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Coach Trevino?
Aye.
Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
And Mr. Los Santos?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item B, discussion and possible action for the board to consider approval of proposal award for property and casualty insurance, boiler and machinery, property and contents, inland marine and flood, RFP number 21-03-23, or reject proposal and authorize administration to rebid and issue broker of record letters, if applicable, to assigned market. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, our district conducted a request for proposals for property and casualty insurance, PNC, boiler and machinery, property and contents, inland marine, and flood insurance. We received one proposal. In order to solicit as many proposals as possible and prevent agents from blocking markets, it has been a standard practice for Weslaco ISD to assign markets. 3 agencies requested and were assigned appropriate markets. The district's insurance consultant, Valley Risk Consulting, contacted the agents that received market assignments to inquire as to why no proposal was submitted. One bidder responded that they were not assigned a sufficient number of markets to build a proposal. The other bidder responded that they were in need of a broker of record letter for the specific companies they were assigned. We are seeing this practice more often. Since we only received one proposal from the incumbent, it would be considered to reject the proposal and rebid. Note that this expenditure, I'm not going to announce the price right now. It is in the best interest of the district to attempt to secure more proposals. You know, if the RFP is rebid, things should be remedied. Additionally, we recommend the board refrain from discussing the loan proposals quote as to maintain the competitive process. Please note that a special call board meeting will have to be called to award the proposal in late March. The board has the option to accept the sole proposal should they be so inclined. A history of premiums and current RFP is included in this attachment. So we got one proposal. So, you know, we're recommending that the board reject that proposal and authorize us to rebid and issue broker of records letters if needed to assign markets to see if we get other proposals. So, but board, you also have the option to accept the sole proposal if you are so inclined to do so. So we only got one.
Council, is there any reason for us not to accept the proposal?
There's no reason.
So there will be no legal issues and.
No, sir.
Let me ask this. Have we ever had any issues with this firm that?
Not to my knowledge, Mr. Barbosa.
No, Coach Cuellar, we have not had any issues with this individual agency or the company.
Okay, and they've always taken care of our needs whenever we've had issues?
Yes, sir, they have been very responsive.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, question. Did we have this issue last time also with the number of proposals?
The last time we went out to bid, when we take this insurance out to bid, the board has the option to renew for 2 additional 1-year terms. This one particular term year went to its fullest, if you will. But the last time we went out for an RFP, we did get 2 proposals.
And can you, how many, I'm just trying to figure out why, so few proposals aside from the information y'all provided. How many claims have we had with this policy, including flood? Because this includes flood also?
It includes flood in the general sense. We do have several locations that have standalone flood insurance policies. But yes, the claims that were filed under this plan year, and of course, it was a little shorter because it was 7 months. We did file a few claims, but none of them hit our deductible. So aside from the claim that we filed for the warehouse during the freeze, the only other claim that we filed before that was during Hurricane Hannah, and the damages did not meet our deductible, or the damage threshold did not meet our deductible.
Would you say you're pretty satisfied with the service that you've been getting from them?
Oh yes, we have no problems with the service. Their company, they're very, very responsive. Like I said, no problems. Just, I personally or professionally like to have, at least one more to make sure that we're getting a fair competitive price.
I think if I'm looking at the price here, we paid $485,000 for 7 months, and right now they left. It appears that they left us.
Trevino, right. We didn't want to discuss the price.
Yes.
The board decides to. Yeah.
So Coach, let me see if I can break it down a little bit. If you look at the 3rd page where it has all the breakdowns, in 1920, and this is public information, so I can go ahead and tell you. In 2019-2020 plan year, we paid $660,686, and that's the last time we went out to bid. Okay, last year, and that's public information, which is 2020-2021 for 7 months, because we did move the effective date to April 1st because we were having issues going out to bid and getting quotes during the middle of hurricane season. Our old effective date was 9/1. So that is the price that we paid, was $476,664 for 7 months.
For 7 months.
The 2021-2022 quote that you see on the right and that figure you see on the bottom, that's what we're asking you not to disclose at this time. Yes. So that's kind of just an idea of, well, that's exactly what we would pay if the board would accept that. And okay. I'm not saying it's worse. I'm not saying it's better. I don't know. It just depends on what the market is doing. But going back to Mrs. Sustaita's question, yes, we don't have any issues or problems with the current vendor who submitted the loan quote.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve or reject? Which way do we want to go?
I make a motion to accept.
Second.
We have a motion by Coach Trevino to accept.
Correct.
Thank you, Coach. Okay, Coach Trevino.
This would be to,
and Coach, we have a second by?
This would be to accept board's administration recommendation or the bid?
That's a good question. Are we going to accept
the bid? I'm making a motion to accept the bid from Double Insurance.
Okay, Coach Jesse Trevino makes a motion to accept the bid that was proposed to us, the loan bid.
Coach Trevino, if I'm going to interject, it should be approval of the proposal award, the loan proposal award.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Who second?
Coach.
Mr. Nieto?
Yes, sir.
Second. Okay. Let's just make sure we're going to vote for. We made a motion by Coach Trevino and a second by Mr. Nieto for the board to consider approval of the proposed award for the property and casualty insurance boiler and machinery, property contents, inland marine and flood. RFP number 21-03-23. Any discussion? If not, let's take it to a vote. Signify your approval by saying aye. Mrs. Jackie Susaita?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Dr. Jaime?
Aye.
Jose Trevino?
Aye.
Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
And Mr. De Los Santos?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item C. Discussion and possible action for the board to consider approval concerning the purchase of portable air cleaning units district-wide, RFP number 21-03-22 as follows. 1, recommendation of an administrative committee, 4 principals and 5 administrators, based on evaluation of specific information related to the operation and performance of the portable air cleaning units. Or 2, delegation to a committee formed by the 3 board trustees that are members of the Safety and Security Committee, the superintendent, 4 principals, and 5 district administrators to make the final decision for the purchase of the portable air cleaning units district-wide. Dr. Canales.
To accept number 2, delegation to a committee formed by the 3 board trustees that are members of the Safety and Security Committee, the superintendent, the 4 principals, and the 5 district administrators to make that final decision.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez moves to accept the delegation to a committee formed by 3 board trustees that are members of the Safety and Security Committees, the superintendent, 4 principals, 5 district administrators, make the final decision for the purchase of the air cleaning district-wide. Was there a second?
Second.
Mr. Nieto, seconds?
Yes, sir.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Coach, I just, since we had the 3 members on that safety and security like that, they can come back and report to the rest of us, because they'll have their input too, as far as budget and whatnot. So, again, that's why, I chose that one.
Saying for the committee to evaluate it and then come back to the board for the board to make approval?
I'm just going by
Number 2.
what I read, number 2.
Uh-huh.
It says delegation of the committee to be formed by the 3 board members that are on the Safety and Security Committee, the superintendent, the 4 principals, and the 5 district administrators to make the final decision, as it's written here on number 2.
Okay, yeah. But what I'm saying is, by going like this, the committee will make the decision, approve the purchase, and just let you know what we did, not come back to the board for approval. Is that what you mean?
If this is how it's written, yeah,
Yeah,
but that's
okay.
what I'm
I
saying. If
wanted
we
to make
have
sure.
3 board members on this
Yes,
committee, they can at least share with us, hey, this is what we liked about the products.
So just for clarification, an option's not there is the one that Mr. Sanchez just explained. This committee can look at it and bring it back to the board for approval.
Board of Trustees on the committee, Coach Cuellar.
We have Coach Jesse Trevino.
Okay.
We have, we have
I need to pull the
Dr.
list.
I believe I have one. Dr. Rodriguez is on it,
Mr.
and
Nieto?
we have another
Is it the
member.
other one or no?
Mr. Nieto.
I am.
Mr. Riojas, do you have the list?
Dr. Collins, I believe it is Mr. Nieto, Coach Trevino, and also, who am I missing?
Dr. Rodriguez.
Dr. Jaime Rodriguez, yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's fine.
I was gonna ask a question. So I thought that they already were rated. Did the principals already have a look at this as far as the
5 of us administrators that looked at it.
Right.
We only looked at 2 samples.
Okay, so you're gonna look at the additional ones that
that
came in.
Wednesday. Yes.
Oh, that one's arrived Wednesday.
Chance to look at the ones coming in on Wednesday,
Right.
March the 10th.
Right.
Okay.
And then we'll have to come back again for another meeting to approve or not, we're just gonna go with the
If
rankings
you want to, if not, if you approve it the way it is,
Right.
we'll make the decision and
and then make the
approve
purchase.
Purchase, and then I'll let you know what we did.
Yeah, because time is
If you
of the
don't like
essence,
it-
that's what I'm saying.
Right, correct.
Time is of the
Well,
essence, and I think with whatever, for
Yeah,
me, like
and we
whatever
got-
administration
and we got Coach
suggests.
Jesse, that's his business, so he'll know.
Right.
So I think we'll get.
Mhm.
What it does is it's not going to speed up anything, but it's going to reassure that more people have their opinion on which way to go.
Right.
Correct.
But we do want to expedite this thing as soon as possible because We want to have these systems ready to go as soon as we can.
They get them in the classroom.
Correct.
So anyway, on that,
Yes.
Okay.
I understand that once they decide, they'll bring it back for board approval, and then we'll pick,
So then, I guess you will have to just don't approve the motion and call for a special board meeting.
Right, that's what I'm saying. This one that he's saying right here, is
Y'all-
we're gonna approve that committee, and then once they make that choice, we're gonna give them the green light to purchase. We don't have to come back.
we can do that.
Right.
I think it'd be a little bit quicker. We got Coach
Right.
Jesse,
That's only
Jaime in his
part of the
And
office.
then Mr. Nieto, you're in that committee too, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
Well, and then more importantly, you have the administrators there, so.
So,
Let me
yes.
get something clear, okay? Is it necessary to come back for board approval if we have board members that are already there and everybody says this is what we want?
Not if you
Counsel?
approve it the way it's
It's
presented.
not a quorum. You need a quorum. You need to come back and approve it. The board has to approve it.
Okay.
So what
But not
we
the
can
motion, the way
do,
it's written.
so here's another option, Board of Trustees. We get the two other ones that we're waiting for come in on Wednesday. We can even, because time is of the essence, which we all agree, we can even have a special called board meeting over lunch, maybe on Friday, just an hour, because it's just this item, and get it approved. So that way we can go ahead and order it, and not waste that week of spring break. So we can do that as well.
But so everybody understands, the way it's written here, like option number 2, if we make a motion to approve it, we don't have to have a meeting because it states here that we're giving them the final say to make the decision and make the purchase. That's the way this motion's written, right? But you're saying it's incorrect, the motion? Well, but the committee members won't be
Yeah, but
voting.
how about one of the school board members says, look, I'm not for it,
Oh, but
The majority.
but that's not the case. They're just going to be there to be aware of what the decision is of the administration.
Right.
And that the other additional district level administration decide. Oh, board members will vote on it as well too?
Yeah, it's a committee.
Yes.
It'll be 13 people in the committee, so me, majority vote.
Because look at what you have here on there. It says, discussion and possible action for the board to consider approval concerning the purchase of portable air cleaning units district-wide, RFP number 21-03-22 as follows. And then you have into the people that are going to look at what's there. But the Part C is actually asking for us to consider approval concerning the purchase. I guess that's the key word. Concerning the purchase, not to actually make a decision on the purchase, right? So based on what this committee is going to do, you'll come back with the recommendation, and we'll put it to a vote then.
But it says to make the final decision for the purchase of the portable air cleaning units. For me, I mean, I'll do whatever if I have to restrict my motion, but the way I read and the way I understand number 2 is we'll have 3 board members representing us, plus the super, plus the 4 principals and the 5 administrators. Amongst them,
yes,
they choose out of the other 2 that are coming in on Wednesday, which one's best, and delegas, whatever they approve, that's approved.
That's how I read
That's how I read it, so.
But council's recommendation is that we need a form.
No, because I mean, you're talking a substantial amount of money, so I think the board should come back and just approve it.
But I don't have an issue with that. I just
substantial.
want to do this at ASAP so that we can get it done.
And like Dr. Canales said, we can come back Friday during lunch.
On Friday, the
Okay.
special call board, we can post tomorrow. We have enough time for Friday at noon, as long as we
Andres,
post before noon.
How do I need to redo my motion?
Just withdraw the motion. Yes.
If you want to rescind the motion, all we got to do is
We could just.
get
Or leave it in what it is.
a unanimous approval by
just
the
table.
board, because this now is property of the
We can
board.
table it.
Let's resend it.
Yeah, vote against
Yeah.
it.
And do you want to,
Oh, yeah.
So
Withdraw?
I'll rescind my motion.
No.
okay, you want to withdraw your motion?
Kill it, yeah.
Well, because it says final decision, but I still want those 3 board members present when they evaluate them.
It's okay.
So,
That's not an issue.
So let me make a motion for number 2 without the final decision, and we come back Friday to the board to approve the decision made by group number 2, which is the 3 board members of the Safety and Security Committee, the superintendent, the 4 principals, and the 5 district administrators.
Okay? So, Mr. Gonzalez has clarified the motion to be the committee of the 3 board members. And
Where we going? I'm gonna get some money out.
superintendent, the 4 principals, 5 district administrators to make the decision of the purchase. And then this will come back to us for final approval. And the second stands with Mr. Nieto.
What's that?
You had a second?
Yes, resend it.
Okay.
Oh, with the new motion?
Okay, motion, second. Okay,
Yes,
anyway.
second.
We have that clarified now. We've had discussion. Let's take it to a vote. Signify your approval by saying aye. Jackie?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Dr. Jaime?
Aye.
Mr. Trevino?
Aye.
Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
And Mr. Los Santos?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item 12, closed meeting to discuss. A, personnel matters, Texas Government Code 551.074. 1, employment of personnel. 2, resignations. 3, deliberation regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, Texas Government Code 551.074 and 551.071. B, deliberation regarding acquisition of real property, Texas Government Code 551.072. And C, consultation with attorney regarding A, pending or contemplated litigation, B, a settlement offer, or C, a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the Weslaco ISD under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Texas Government Code 551.071. The time now is 7:58, and we will go into closed session. is 8:31. And we have reconvened in open meeting. Item 13. Possible action, if necessary, on items discussed in closed meeting. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, the first one is the approval. I'm recommending that you approve the recommendation of contracts for certified professional personnel for new hires as discussed in closed session.
I have a motion by Mr. Gonzalez and a second by Mr. Nieto to approve. Take it to a vote. Mr. Staita?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Let the record reflect that Dr. Jaime Rodriguez left the meeting at 8:30. Coach Trevino? Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
And Mr. Los Santos?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Action is the Board of Trustees. I recommend that you approve the resignations as discussed in closed session.
So moved.
Okay, we have two motions to move. Which
Second.
one counts? Mr.
I'll second.
Mr. Los Santos
Yes.
moves, and we have a second by Mr. Gonzalez. Okay. Let's take it to a vote. Signify your approval by saying aye. Mr. Staita?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Jose Villo?
I don't think he logged on.
Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
Mr. Los Santos?
Aye.
Motion carries.
There are no other, right. That's
We
it.
now go to item 14, which is adjournment. We have a motion. This meeting is adjourned. The time is 8:33.